Welcome to the Explainer. Today we're strapping into the cockpit for a test pilot's debrief on two legendary European jets born from a massive 1980s ideological clash. We are diving deep into the Eurofighter Typhoon and the Dassault Rafale. Understanding these incredible machines isn't just about aviation history, it's literally the key to understanding the future of global aerial sovereignty. We're not just comparing metal and engines today, we're looking at a fundamental ground-up contrast in tactical design philosophies. Let's get into it.
The eerie silence of the sky before an engagement. Imagine the visceral sensation of sitting on the runway, anticipating the impending bone-rattling 9G forces of a high-intensity intercept. In just moments, you're going to be experiencing crushing physical pressure. But the cockpit ergonomics and the specific aircraft you're strapped into, that dictates your entire strategy. Are you about to pilot Europe's ultimate air superiority predator, built to totally dominate the highest altitudes? Or are you at the helm of France's smartest omni-role hunter, designed to adapt to absolutely any mission profile on the fly?
So, let's look at the geopolitical split that started this whole rivalry. Back in the 1980s, the Cold War demanded a totally new breed of fighter. Europe formed this massive coalition, the UK, Germany, Italy, and Spain, working together on the European Fighter Aircraft Project for pure, unmatched air superiority. But France? Well, they had a very different vision. They demanded absolute national autonomy and immediate aircraft carrier strike capabilities. When compromises couldn't be reached, France actually walked away. The multinational coalition went on to build the Typhoon, and France independently forged the Rafale. Section 1. Design and Aerodynamics. Raw power versus balanced versatility. The aerodynamic philosophies here are literally night and day. As a pilot, before you even glance at the radar, your survival depends entirely on stick response. The Typhoon is built with a highly unstable body. Now, in fighter jets, instability actually makes the jet a wild beast, incredibly eager to execute razor-sharp dogfight maneuvers. But pulling those instant 9G turns puts an immense, exhausting physical strain on the pilot. The Rafale, on the other hand, features a more balanced, slightly more stable design. It gives you this incredibly smooth, controlled handling, especially at low speeds, and incorporates optimized stealth shaping in its air intakes to drastically reduce its radar cross-section. To truly appreciate these designs, we have to talk about energy maneuverability. When you pull back hard on the stick in a dogfight, you physically feel the jet bleeding speed. It's a crazy sensation. The Typhoon uses its high thrust and low drag to basically blast through turns, holding its high-speed energy so you can power out of a maneuver almost instantly. The Rafale's balanced aerodynamics are built to efficiently conserve that energy, and its fuel, keeping you lethal over much longer sustained mission profiles. Speaking of thrust, 90 kilonewtons. That is the massive amount of thrust generated by just one of the Typhoon's two EJ200 engines when you engage the afterburners. As a pilot, that delivers a physical, chest-crushing sensation. It gives the Typhoon a blazing fast, rocket-like vertical climb and absolutely incredible supercruise capabilities. That means you can sustain supersonic speeds without needing to dump massive amounts of fuel into the afterburners. These distinct engine profiles absolutely dictate the fight. The Typhoon's EJ200 brings rapid acceleration and raw power, but that raw power lights up infrared sensors like a Christmas tree. Contrasting this, the Rafale's M88 engine generates slightly less thrust, right around 75 kilonewtons, but it trades that raw power for incredible high fuel efficiency and a significantly lower thermal profile. It's stealthier, making it the superior choice for penetrating deep into enemy airspace undetected. Section 2. Surviving the electronic battlefield. Let's move from the physical G-forces to the intense cognitive workload of dogfighting. Both jets use advanced active electronically scanned array radars, but they vastly change what the pilot actually sees on their cockpit display during a high-speed intercept. The Typhoon's Captor E radar physically swivels. It acts almost like a sweeping spotlight that gives you an incredibly wide side-angle field of view. The Rafale utilizes the fixed RBE2AA radar. It doesn't move physically, but its highly refined signal processing absolutely excels at piercing through heavy electronic clutter to spot stealthy, low observability targets. Modern air combat is won or lost on sensor fusion. When you're flying under heavy electronic warfare, your brain is processing a million things at once. The Rafale is widely considered the absolute king of sensor fusion, maximizing data reliability. It radically reduces pilot workload by taking data from the radar, infrared sensors, and threat detectors and presenting a single, crystal-clear tactical picture. This actively prevents the pilot from being totally overwhelmed by raw data during heavy electronic jamming. Narrating from experience here, hearing the blaring terror of cockpit threat alarms in contested airspace is an absolute nightmare.
But in the Rafale, flying with the Spectra electronic warfare system feels like wrapping yourself in an invisible shield. Spectra doesn't just warn you, it actively analyzes enemy signals, jams their radars, and creates an electronic ghost to divert incoming missiles. It silences those alarms and makes the Rafale incredibly hard to kill.
Section 3. Weapons and engagement envelopes. Let's see how all of this builds into the critical moment of pulling the trigger. Taking a look at this side-by-side technical matrix of payload and range capabilities, a stark contrast really emerges. The Typhoon was born for air-to-air dominance, carrying the AMRAAM and ASRAAM with ground strike capabilities integrated much later in its lifespan. But the Rafale, totally true to its omniroll design, carries a diverse mix from day one. This gives it incredible range and reach, including the Deep Strike Scalp missile and even the ASMPA for French nuclear deterrence. These weapon systems define very specific engagement envelopes. Both jets carry the deadly ramjet-powered Meteor Beyond Visual Range missile. But the Typhoon absolutely owns the high-altitude beyond visual range fight, imparting massive kinetic energy to the missile. Down lower, the Rafale owns the chaotic close-quarters merge with the Mica missile. Mica comes in both infrared and radar guidance modes, allowing the Rafale to launch a dual-mode attack that creates absolute chaos for enemy pilots trying to deploy countermeasures. To see how this translates from caper to the real world, just look at combat anecdotes from Libya in 2011 and later in Syria. On day one of operations, the Rafale was able to detect enemy radar, use Spectra to deploy its invisible shield, launch long-range scalp precision strikes, and safely return without needing a heavy fighter escort. This perfectly highlights its omni-role flexibility. A Rafale pilot can switch from air-to-air defense to a deep ground strike in the exact same sortie, whereas the Typhoon historically had to return to base to reconfigure. Section 4. Logistics, costs, and global reach.
Zooming out from the cockpit for a second, war is ultimately won by logistics and budgets, and geopolitics directly translates to logistics. The Typhoon is a product of a multi-nation consortium. That means sharing technology, sure, but it also means that if you want to export the jet or secure spare parts, you need complex, slow approvals from the UK, Germany, Italy, and Spain. France's total autonomy over the Rafale means they control the entire independent supply chain. A nation buying the Rafale only has to deal with Paris, completely avoiding the nightmare of 4 different European parliaments vetoing fleet sustainment.
This political flexibility is exactly why India chose the Rafale over the Typhoon for its massive MMRCA program. During brutal trials in high altitudes and dusty, scorching hot environments, the Rafale showed rugged consistency. Ground crews matter just as much as pilots, and the simpler M88 engine design resulted in higher operational availability. Put simply, that means more jets ready to fly on any given day. When you look at the economics, life cycle costs are where billions of taxpayer dollars are actually spent over a 40-year period. The Typhoon has incredible performance, no doubt, but its complex engineering and high fuel burn engines lead to a higher long-term taxpayer burden. The Rafale's simple engine maintenance and high fuel efficiency act as a massive economic weapon, granting it a highly competitive, much lower per-hour operating cost. Section 5. The final tactical verdict. Returning to the briefing room. Both of these platforms rely heavily on ongoing software upgrades to survive as 4.5-generation fighters in a 5th-generation world, integrating advanced networking and autonomous loyal wingman capabilities. But here again, France's independent control allows the Rafale to adapt and integrate new technologies slightly faster than the European coalition, which has to navigate that multi-nation complexity for every major upgrade. So here is the ultimate takeaway. The Eurofighter Typhoon remains Europe's absolute high-speed specialist. If you need a warrior for aggressive airspace control, rocket-like climbs, and pure, unfiltered air superiority, the Typhoon is unmatched. But the Dassault Rafale is France's intelligent all-rounder. If you need a strategist that thrives on unmatched versatility, incredible electronic survivability, and deep strike mastery, the Rafale is your jet. As we look toward a future of autonomous, loyal wingmen and highly network-centric, sensor-heavy battlefields, the rules of engagement are shifting all over again. Which of these two legendary engineering philosophies do you think will truly rule the skies? Will raw kinetic power remain the ultimate trump card, or will intelligent electronic versatility prove to be the ultimate survivor? Thanks so much for joining us on this explainer. Keep looking to the skies, and we'll catch you next time.